our friend Kasman is that he thinks that because Akili ni nywele and he has a lot of it, then he knows more. My Secretary General at Inject Party is...
The problem with people like Morah is, you know, because he thinks he's a carpenter, is closer to Christ. To
the Deputy President, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, it is my sincere hope and prayer that you are impeached. And I say this in the best interest of the Kenyans, and I need you to listen to me, pole pole. Let's just do it step by step. You and I have a common problem. If anything, your boss and his cronies are planning against you. Guess what? They have been planning against us. And when you guys were working together, you ended up being entrapped in something. Yes, granted, if you are impeached, you will not be allowed to serve for office. But you've been in government for the longest time. I don't even need us to work together, Mr. Rigathi. I just need you out of that office so that you help us. Because right now you are trapped by, it is the trappings of power that are preventing your boss from going. Deep down, I know you want this. Deep down, I want this. It is very important for you to, and do this because the country is bigger than any individual. I could make you a deal that resign. If you resign, and we work on saving Kenyans from this sham that is the presidency and the bullies that are around there. You know, this is going to help because we hope that another deputy president will not be bullied. And this is specifically for the deputy president. Sorry for the other viewers and listeners. If you resign, you do the honorable thing before they impeach you. Because if they impeach you, you're never going to get into government. And even if you resign, Kenyans are not going to vote for you. So join us and do the right thing. Put the country forward as we have. We risked our bodies and put them on the streets. And if you do this, I promise you, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, if you do this, I just even might not vie in 2027. I might... let us put the country in front of us.
Let us vying in 2027?
You know, because I said if we do not get a bullet revolution, we can get a ballot revolution. Mr. Rigathi Gachagua offers a very unique public-private partnership to enable us to have a government for the people, where if we can partner with people in government, and this does not even have to be direct. It can be a gentleman's agreement where he will do his things, us we will do our things, but because we have identified a common problem. And even the people who are saying this is a very peaceful route. Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, the country is bigger than you. The country is bigger than I. Can we just do the right thing for the country? Let us not waste so much space, because now I see you are taking up front lines, while here we would be talking about ways we can develop the country. Let us not do this.
Were you looking to overthrow the government during the protest?
We were not looking to overthrow the government during the protests. We were looking to replace dysfunctional systems. Accusing us of trying to overthrow a government is, it just shows you where the country sits. You know, Professor Kindiki, even, no offense, going by the pitch of his voice, he sounds like a flute. A flute, if you think about it musically, is a melodic instrument. It's supposed to have only one note. It cannot produce multiple notes at the same time. His president said that as far as he's concerned, there are no people who are missing, that there are no people who died from a protest. Suddenly he showed up with a particular list. Whichever Kenya you live on, any Kenyan who's present here knows that we either need a bullet revolution or a ballot revolution. Now that these bullets have been used against us, and now they've weaponized us, they've used the bullets, and now they still want to weaponize the ballot come 2027. And now that's why we are still saying that the pressure must be kept up. That when we say Ruto must go, our clarion call has to be clearer, because the lives of the young people who lost their lives in parliament grounds must not have gone in vain for these politicians to come and talk such nonsense on television. If the political class did exactly what they are mandated to do in the Constitution, if our MPs represented us and not their own selfish interests, if the president abided by the rule of law and did not employ unconstitutional people or directed, if the whole political elite did not direct funds to unconstitutional places, we would be happy to stay home. These are pro-good governance protests. And whatever it is that we're doing, the agitation that we are making is simply that the government does what it was mandated to do.
In no uncertain terms, the protests have gotten to the point where we have to make it absolutely clear that Ruto must go. And I know this sounds like a radical stance, but he has shown nothing but gross disregard for the Constitution, nothing but spite for human lives, And it's gotten to the point where the arm of the government, which is the executive, has shown nothing but disregard for the lives of the youth. When we say Ruto must go, it is a very clear clarion call that we will not tolerate this system. This system did not work for our parents, it did not work for our elder siblings, and it most definitely will not work for us. That is why we are on the streets. We are on the streets to overhaul the entire system. Let that not be mistaken for anarchy, because the only people who are comparing this to anarchy, a state of anarchy, are the political class. Okay. It has not been our fellow people.
All right, interesting, and we will...
Our friend Kasmal is that he thinks that because akili ni nywele and he has a lot of it, then he knows more. My Secretary General at Inject Party is a Maasai. It's called Solonka Parel.
Was he or was he not your classmate?
The person who is in charge, look, Orengo was with Raila.
That's what we are saying. What
is wrong with working with my classmate?
Yes, then what is wrong
if I trust him enough to work with him, it's exceptional. It's beautiful. How many classmates are working together?
We don't have a problem with you working
with the Secretary General.
But you blaming other people for doing the exact thing you're doing, is that what we are?
I've not blamed Raila for working with his classmates.
Yes. No.
I'm blaming him for taking advantage of the Gen Z demonstration, riding on the blood of the youth who have died to benefit himself economically and have positions in government.
You know, you took your people to Narok where only you were not hurt, but your teammates were hurt. So you want to legitimize your struggle thinking it deserves blood. And I do not have a problem with you changing campaign financing. I do not have a problem with you unearthing projects. What I have a problem with is you trying to pull certain stunts. If you think about Inject, it came at a time when we had agreed that we were supposed to just keep this as a movement. And the problem with people like Morah is, you know, because he thinks he's a carpenter, is closer to Christ. I looked for a party that aligned with my values. And the ODM party is a center-left social democratic party. There's no single individual who has tested election laws as much as my party leader, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, has.
My brother Kasmal has said that well, sometimes I think because I'm a carpenter, I'm closer to Christ. I am indeed close to Christ. But you see, the problem with our friend Kasmal is that he thinks that because akili ni nywele and he has a lot of it, then he knows more. The truth is that whatever he is doing at ODM is something I did there 7 years ago. In terms of experience, political experience, I'm 7 years ahead of him, and I can give him a little bit of education about what happens in ODM. The first thing I'm going to tell him is one of the reasons we have corruption in Kenya is because there is corruption in political parties. Because when you sell tickets to candidates at a cost of 10 million to be a member of parliament, the first thing this person, when he becomes a member of parliament, will do.
Okay.
Well, we have very basic expectations. We have a failing education sector. And by failing, I say that this is an administration that campaigned on a hustler versus dynasty ticket. And we find that this new funding model, for example, bringing about more bans, more classist segregations in terms of education, which is a right and not a privilege. We find failing healthcare. And on healthcare, it's the implementation. I do not have a problem with SHA as a concept because universal healthcare if you think about SHA as a concept, it works, but spending 100 billion on a system that could have cost less than $1 billion does not make sense to me. We do not have economic or food security for our people. These are not things that are superficial. These are not things which you would sit down and say that we are attacking the president. You walk anywhere, people are complaining there is no money. People are saying that we do not have food. People are complaining at the bare minimum. While the administration has consistently talked about the prices of unga have gone down, we understand that even the purchasing power has gone significantly lower. So this is not an unfair attack on the president. It's just proof to Kenyans that the more we keep on falling for emotional tropes, the more we keep on falling for emotional campaigns, the more we keep on falling for the narratives that we need personalities as saviors, these are the kinds of results that we're going to get.
Are you buying that narrative?
The questions would be two. One, before our president made a promise that he would create 1 million jobs, he must have looked at the Kenyan economy, must have known what he was supposed to do to create those jobs. So what is this thing that he has not done for those jobs not to be created? Number two, the issue would be the President William Ruto's regime cannot be looked at in isolation. in my own view, you need to look at President Uhuru and Ruto's regime together, because that's when the problem in Kenya began. The problem in Kenya began with President Uhuru, now into President Ruto. I would treat this as the same regime from 2013, not just from 2022. Because if you judge the presidency of William Ruto from 2022, then you lose the bigger picture. If you look at it from, for example, public debt, you find that Kibaki let a public debt of about 1.8 trillion. Then in came the two brothers who wear same shirts and same ties, and they borrowed over 10 trillion Kenyan shillings, which you cannot see in infrastructure and in development.